order. The question is that this amendment be agreed to, and I call the honourable member for Riverina.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And this might come as a surprise, but there was a lot of content in the Environment Minister's speech with which I heartily agree. Heartily agree. And indeed, the contaminants in those single-use vapes are of danger not only to the users but to the environment as well. The lithium-ion batteries, as she mentioned, the chemicals, the toxic chemicals therein contained therein are so harmful to the ground and groundwater. Goodness knows what they are doing to the young people, older people, anyone actually using these vapes. That is why we need to do something about the manufacture of these vapes and do it very fast, because if anyone thinks that our Border Force, our Border Patrol, our authorities at the docks can in any way, shape or form manage the great influx of these in the containers that come in on the various vessels, well, they are just seriously kidding themselves. And the Minister was right when she said they come in all shapes and forms, USBs, highlighter pens, with the various flavours there to seduce, not induce, but to seduce children, you know, with unicorns and rainbows and all sorts of tropical and exciting sounding flavours and colours. This is just an attempt to get young people hooked on smoking, and we know that after vapes it'll be nicotine, and it is dangerous. There is absolutely no question. But to suggest, I think that we then should be getting our authorities, be they border control or be they state police, to try to limit the spread of these. Well, good luck with that. The genie is out of the bottle. Some might say the puff is out of the vape. I went to a wedding not that long ago where just about every person was vaping, and we know that currently the estimate is 1.7 million adults are believed to vape in Australia. 1.7 million. It's a big number. 10% of those have a current GP's prescription as required by law to vape. So that's a very small percentage of the number of people who are in fact vaping every day. As the Minister said, almost every hour of every day. Labor has pushed ahead with doubling down on the failed prescription-only approach to vaping. I know Minister Greg Hunt, former Health Minister Hunt, meant well. The intention was right to do what he did at the time, but what we've seen is a massive billion-dollar black market underpinned by more than 100 million illegal vapes every year, and these are being sold to children. And who is running this racket largely? It's the bikie gangs, and bikie gangs are scum. They are. The number of Molotov cocktails being thrown into legal tobacco shops, and the bully boy tactics that these bikie gangs bring to this. This is the new, underbelly crime series waiting and already unfolding, sadly, in our capital cities, and perhaps some might even suggest elsewhere. The hypocrisy of banning a substance in one form while allowing the legal sale of it in a known more harmful form cannot be overstated. To the Australian public, it just doesn't add up. It simply doesn't. And we do need to address the realities of the current e-cigarette climate and the prevalence of the usage in Australia amongst all age groups, but particularly our young people. The Minister mentioned school children and how they were defying their parents and fooling their teachers And, you know, many of us you will remember the kids who used to go and get a fag behind the school toilets and get in awful trouble for it. Back when I was at school, you used to get belted for it. Not that I've ever even so much as put a cigarette to my lips, I have to say. Some might say, you know, I'm very much in the minority there. But I saw the effects that smoking had on my father. It killed him. He went to an early grave because of smoking and because of the effects of smoking. I do not like vaping. I do not like smoking, although people have a legal right to smoke, and I acknowledge that. People have a legal and should be a prescriptive right to vape, and I understand that too. But there are more than 1 million Australians who are vaping illegally. Well, illegally. I want to commend the work done by the member for Cowper, who has looked into this, who has, I know, been torn with his own conscience as to what the best and right outcome is for all Australians in this regard. And he has worked across the aisle, across the political divide, to try and bring about the best possible resolution. I know members come to this debate, to this bill, to this motion in good faith. I understand that people have different views and people are very torn by what those views are. But I do want to commend the member for Cowper, because if anybody in this place, in this House of Representatives, understands the significance of that, along with the legal implications, it is the member for Cowper. A dad, a former police officer who went undercover to attempt to flush out drug barons and the like, and comes to this place with a world of experience, a world of legal know-how behind him. And I have to say, in this regard, on this particular topic, when he speaks, I listen, because I know the time and effort he has put into reaching what he believes is the best conclusion in this regard. And I know too that the Nationals are in a coalition, and I respect that. But we also, as a party, with our individual right to look at policy and determine as a party, albeit a party in a coalition, we looked at this very early on because it was a massive issue in regional Australia. And the regulation and taxing of government-approved nicotine vapes, we believe that it should follow the same general principles of alcohol and cigarette sales. And it includes licensed retail outlets, supply chains and manufacturing. And I say manufacturing because, as even the Minister acknowledged, this is an environmental disaster, not waiting to happen, but I would suggest happening. I know, having spoken to Jill Ludford and others in the Murrumbidgee Local Health District in the Riverina electorate I represent, that there are tens of thousands of these vapes, many of which have been confiscated, others of which have been put in the recycle bin in good faith by people who thought that they could be recycled, that are now going to end up in landfill. In fact, nobody quite knows what should be done with them. And this is a crisis, as I say, that is unfolding as we speak. But there should be strict age verification requirements for vapes as part of what the Nationals believe should be the correct legislation. Plain packaging, mandatory health warnings, approved labelling with full ingredients, nicotine content, etc. Restricted flavours approved by the TGA, subject to excise duty, properly funded and constructed compliance and enforcement regime, and harsh penalties for those who flout the law. But our state police can't be expected to go around and get the prescriptions excuse me, from everybody who might be puffing away on a vape. The Nationals are proposing to continue the ban on single-use vapes because of the availability of disposables, presenting a low barrier for young people to enter into vaping, the waste and environmental implications, as I said before, around the disposal of these units, which is complex, it's costly, it poses risks dealing with, as the Environment Minister quite correctly pointed out, the lithium battery contained therein. Germany and France have recently banned single-use vapes, and that was just in December last year. Vaping needs to be viewed in the full context of law enforcement and harm reduction, and I do worry earnestly about what we are seeing at the moment with bikie gangs and others. It has become a great cash cow for them and their nefarious activities. But also, more to the point, locally, and all politics is local, and I know the Environment Minister talked about young people having to have a puff in the middle of the night because they couldn't get through the night. And, you know, kids as young as the member for Kooyong mentioned 13. I would even argue that some are even younger. At Young High School in the Riverina in 2022, a student was caught selling vapes to another student. The boy admitted to selling them and said he found them in a park. Police were contacted and a wellbeing nurse was contacted as well. The student was rightly suspended. Parks High School, I don't want to be seen to be picky on these high schools, but these are well-known and publicised incidents. A student was recorded as being absent the day he arrived at school to hand another student a vape. He left and returned again with another vape for another student. These are not isolated one-off incidents. It's not just happening at public high schools, it's happening at private high schools, it's happening probably at primary schools. And you only need to walk down Main Street of any country town, anywhere, and you'll see young people, way too young, on their vapes. It is a major issue, and vaping has just exploded. Teachers reporting students are using them in classrooms, toilets, selling them in the playground. Beyond belief, really. We know that, and we know it from good research, that vaping is medically harmful, and we also know that people who are vaping, they're going to have the harmful effects come back at them later in life. And I know when I mentioned my father, Lance, earlier on, and probably at the time when he started lighting up in the in probably the late 40s, early 50s, there wasn't the knowledge then, and there was certainly the advertising then that that either told people that it was harmful, but on the other hand, you were having all the advertising that was almost encouraging and enticing people, saying that was the way to live your life. It was a lifestyle choice which was going to make you more attractive and all the rest. And of course, we had a number of people now in their elderly years, or a number of people, dare I say, in cemeteries around the place who ought not be there, a number of people in their elderly years who are suffering emphysema and other various ailments, cancer, etc., because of the cigarette smoking, because of the nicotine use that they did when they weren't aware of the dangers. These days, people are aware of the dangers of vaping. The companies selling them, the bikie gangs who are using these as a cash cow, this needs legislation. It needs proper, tight legislation that is going to control the sale, control the usage, certainly put a thumb down on the bikie gangs' ability to reap rewards, ill-gotten gains from vaping. The Nationals have, in good faith, put forward what we believe, led by the member for Cowper, a strong alternative to what the government is proposing, and to ensure that the manufacture of vapes is regulated. It is Australian. It is done with the best possible outcomes in mind. There's no easy answer to this. There's no easy fix, and I just in the final few seconds, would urge anybody who is considering either taking it up or doing it, don't do it. It's not good for you. It will lead to an untimely death.